A millionaire forced a young black waitress to cook in front of the entire restaurant just to humiliate her. But the moment she touched the pan, every guest froze, stunned by a talent no one saw coming. In a world full of struggles and second chances, every story hides a lesson worth learning. This is Afnan Art, where ordinary lives become extraordinary tales. Sit back, open your heart, and let the story begin. The Silver Crown Manhattan was glowing under the warm city lights, filled with the voices of millionaires, investors, and the most influential people in New York. It was the kind of night where every table sparkled with pride, money, and empty laughter. Maya Carter, a 25-year-old black woman working as a server, moved quietly between the guests, carrying a silver tray with the grace she had learned through years of surviving. She kept her head down, not because she lacked confidence, but because she knew the rules of this place. Stay invisible. Stay quiet. Do not disturb the elite. And above all, do not show how tired you really are. Her steps echoed against the marble floor, but no one ever looked at her. To them, she was just another uniform, another background detail in a world built for their comfort. Tonight, however, felt different. The air carried something heavy, something that prickled the back of her neck. A tension brewing beneath the surface. At table 9 sat Elliot Graves, a young and arrogant millionaire known for humiliating whoever stood in his way. His voice carried across the room, a loud laugh that sliced through the music like a blade. Maya approached his table to deliver a bottle of wine. Before she could set it down, a woman at the table nudged her arm on purpose. The bottle tilted and a few drops spilled. The entire table gasped dramatically, as if the world had stopped because of a small mistake. Elliot leaned back in his chair, eyeing Maya with amusement. Well, the girl cannot even hold a bottle properly. His smirk deepened as his guests laughed. Maya kept her breath steady. She apologized softly, trying to wipe the spill, but Elliot stopped her with a raised hand. No. If you want to make it right, then prove you can do something useful tonight. His voice rose high enough for people across the room to hear. A few turned, sensing the start of something messy. Maya froze, unsure what he wanted from her. Elliot tapped the table with one finger, his eyes burning with cruelty. Come here. I have an idea. Maya stepped closer, her pulse tightening. He pointed toward the open kitchen where the chefs prepared meals under bright lights. Since you ruined the mood, why don't you do something entertaining? Why don't you cook for us? Right here. Right now. The table erupted in laughter. Some other guests nearby leaned in, whispering and snickering. Maya felt the room closing around her, every pair of eyes waiting for her to break. She tried to speak, but her voice drowned in embarrassment. Elliot snapped his fingers once. Loud. Sharp. You heard me. Cook something. Make us laugh. Maya looked at the kitchen, the flames reflecting off the steel counters. She had not cooked in front of anyone for years. She had never expected to hold a knife again in public. But tonight, fate pushed her toward a fire she had spent so long running from. She exhaled slowly. Then she walked toward the kitchen, leaving a trail of murmurs behind her. The entire restaurant watched as the girl in a server uniform stepped into the bright spotlight of the open cooking station. No one knew that the moment her hands touched the ingredients, the night in Manhattan was about to change. Maya stood beneath the sharp kitchen lights, feeling every stare burn into her back. The open cooking station was suddenly the center of the entire restaurant. Guests whispered, phones lifted, and the atmosphere shifted into something cruel and expectant, like a crowd waiting for a show designed to fail. The head chef, a tall white man named Grant, approached her with confusion. What are you doing here, Maya? She kept her voice steady. Elliot wants me to cook something. Grant looked over her shoulder at Elliot, who casually raised his glass in a mocking toast. Grant's jaw tightened, but he knew better than to defy a millionaire whose donations kept the silver crown glowing. He sighed and stepped back. Fine. You have 5 minutes. Impress them or this gets messy. Maya nodded, though her stomach felt like it was twisting into knots. She had not cooked in a professional kitchen since her family's small restaurant in Louisiana fell apart years ago. She had locked that part of herself away, burying her talent under the weight of survival. Tonight, that past clawed its way back. The counter in front of her held a raw dry aged steak, butter, garlic, thyme, salt, pepper, and a cast iron pan already heating. Elliot's voice echoed sharply from across the room. Make it quick. We are getting bored. The guests laughed again, louder this time. Maya could hear their footsteps shifting, forming a half circle around the station. They expected disaster. They wanted the poor server girl to embarrass herself. The humiliation felt inches away. Maya closed her eyes for a brief second. She pictured her grandmother in their Louisiana kitchen, stirring gumbo while humming old blues songs. She remembered the warmth, the smell of spices, the rhythm of a kitchen filled with love rather than judgment. Her heartbeat steadied. She opened her eyes. And everything changed. Maya reached for the steak with confidence she had not felt in years. She seasoned it with precise movements, letting the grains fall evenly. The crowd's laughter softened, unsure of what they were seeing. Grant raised his brows, sensing something different. When she placed the steak into the hot cast iron, the pan hissed with a powerful sear. The sound silenced the room. Maya tilted the pan and let the butter melt into a silky pool, adding smashed garlic and fresh thyme. She basted the steak with movements so smooth, so natural, that even the sous chef stopped working to watch her. Her hands moved like she had been born in a kitchen. The flick of her wrist. The way she monitored the heat. The way she breathed with the rhythm of the pan. This was not a server fumbling through humiliation. This was a chef. A real one. A brilliant one. Elliot's smile faded, replaced by confusion. He leaned forward, elbows on the table. His eyes darted from the pan to Maya's face, trying to understand how this girl, this person he thought was beneath him, could move like a culinary master. A woman whispered loudly, "Wait, she actually knows what she's doing." Maya flipped the steak with the perfect crust. At that moment, a soft gasp moved through the room. People pulled their phones down, no longer recording for mockery but for awe. The strong aroma filled the space, cutting through perfume and expensive wine, spreading warmth and nostalgia that none of them expected. Grant whispered under his breath, "This girl is not normal." Maya continued cooking, lost in the flow she thought she had forgotten. She plated the steak beautifully, adding a final drizzle of melted butter and herbs. Her hands stopped trembling. Her breath evened. She stepped back. Silence swallowed the room. A silence so deep that everyone felt the shift. Now the dish sat on the counter, and the only question left was whether the taste would match the magic they had just witnessed. And Elliot Graves, the man who forced this moment, was no longer smirking. He was staring at the plate like it held a truth he was not ready to face. Elliot finally rose from his chair, pushing it back with a slow scrape that echoed across the silent restaurant. The confidence he wore like an expensive suit had faded, replaced by something unfamiliar on his face. Caution. Curiosity. Maybe even fear. He stepped toward the cooking station, every guest watching him like a judge walking toward a verdict. The plate sat waiting, the steam rising in soft curls. Maya stood on the opposite side of the counter, her hands clasped in front of her apron, steady but guarded. She did not look at Elliot. She kept her eyes on the plate, as if the dish itself carried her entire fate. Elliot picked up the fork. Grant crossed his arms, unable to hide the tension. Several guests leaned closer, holding their breaths. Even the waitstaff froze, unsure how any of this would end. Elliot cut into the steak. The sound was clean, smooth, perfect. The center revealed a flawless medium rare. He lifted the bite to his mouth. And the world stopped. The first chew turned Elliot's expression rigid. The second softened his eyes. By the third, he wasn't smirking or laughing or mocking. He was still. Completely still. His guests exchanged glances, confused at his silence. Elliot Graves, a man known for dramatic reactions and loud opinions, could not speak. A woman at the table whispered, "Is it bad?" But Elliot shook his head slowly. He set the fork down with care, as if the plate were suddenly precious. His breath left his lungs in a quiet, shaken exhale. "This is..." He paused, swallowing hard. "This is unbelievable." Gasps rippled through the room. People sat up straighter, trying to understand whether they had heard him correctly. Elliot turned toward Maya, truly looking at her for the first time. "Where did you learn to cook like this?" He said it without arrogance, without mockery. His tone carried something rare for him, respect mixed with disbelief. Maya hesitated. The truth she had kept locked inside for years pressed against her throat, but she wasn't ready to open that door. Not yet. I just learned from my family, she replied softly. Grant stepped forward, studying her more deeply now. His voice carried low but stunned disbelief. Family or not, this is beyond anything our kitchen has produced tonight. The murmurs in the restaurant shifted from ridicule to admiration. People looked at her differently. She was no longer just the server in a black uniform. She was someone with skill, with history, with a spark none of them had expected. But before anyone could say anything more, a new voice cut through the crowd. Hold on. You. Girl. Everyone turned toward a thin older man with silver hair and a sharp suit. He was one of the harshest food critics in New York, known for shutting down restaurants with a single review. He had been sitting quietly in the corner, unseen, unnoticed. His eyes locked onto Maya like a hawk spotting prey. Make another dish. The demand sliced through the room. Guests shifted nervously. Even Grant looked worried. The critic stepped closer. One dish could be luck. Two will show me the truth. Cook something else. Right now. The pressure tightened around Maya like a rope. Her pulse raced. She had just stunned the room once, but repeating perfection under the glare of a critic was a whole different test. The crowd sensed it too. Their excitement turned into sharp anticipation. Would she rise again? Or finally break under the weight of the moment? Maya took a slow breath and stepped back to the counter. The fire inside her had been awakened, and she was not about to let it die. The kitchen lights felt hotter now, brighter, as if the entire room leaned toward Maya to see whether she would rise or fall. The food critic, sharp-eyed and unblinking, stood only a few feet away. His presence alone could suffocate a seasoned chef, let alone a young server forced into the spotlight. Maya steadied her breath. Her palms were warm. Her heartbeat thudded once, twice, then leveled into a focused rhythm. Grant approached her carefully, lowering his voice so only she could hear. You do not have to do this. If you want, I can step in. Maya shook her head. Thank you. But I can handle it. Grant stepped back slowly, watching her with a respect he had never felt before. The critic tapped the counter with a single finger. I am waiting. Maya turned to the ingredients laid out for tonight's menu. But something inside her resisted. She did not want to repeat the restaurant's dishes. She wanted to make something of her own. Something that belonged to her past, her family, her roots. Her eyes found a basket of fresh shrimp. Soft, pink, catching the light. Her grandmother's voice whispered from deep in her memory. Let the pan listen to your heartbeat. Let the spices tell your story. Maya reached for the shrimp. Guests leaned in. Elliot tightened his grip on the back of a chair. The room fell into that tense quiet where even a dropped spoon would feel like an explosion. When Maya heated the pan, the flame rose high, casting a warm glow on her face. She moved with calm precision, adding butter, chopped garlic, lemon zest, and a gentle kick of cayenne. The scent filled the air, weaving into the room like a spell. People closed their eyes for a moment, breathing in the aroma, forgetting entirely that they had come to witness her fail. Then Maya did something no one expected. She hummed. A soft, soulful tune from her childhood, barely audible over the sizzle of the pan. The sound wrapped itself around her movements, bringing a steady rhythm to every flick of her wrist. The shrimp curled perfectly, absorbing flavor like they had been waiting for this moment. A woman whispered from the crowd. Look at her hands. She is not guessing. She knows exactly what she is doing. Maya plated the dish with a finishing drizzle of lemon butter and a sprinkle of herbs. The colors glowed under the kitchen lights. She stepped back again, breathing out slowly, her eyes watching the critic without flinching. The critic stepped forward. No one dared speak. No one dared breathe. He lifted a single shrimp to his mouth and took a bite. His eyelids dropped halfway. His stern expression loosened. The room was so quiet that the faint sounds of Manhattan traffic outside felt louder than the people inside. The critic chewed once more, then lowered the fork. His voice came out low, almost grudging. This is remarkable. A shock rolled through the crowd. A few people gasped. Others froze in disbelief. Elliot stared at the critic, unable to hide his astonishment. The critic continued. This dish carries a soul. A story. And it came from you. His gaze settled on Maya, sharp but now softened by genuine admiration. You are wasting your life serving tables. Maya felt a tremor in her chest. She looked down, not in shame but in the overwhelming realization of what she had forced herself to forget for so long. The critic turned to Elliot. "If you know what is good for you, you will not let this girl slip away." Elliot straightened. The entire room turned toward him, sensing the weight of the critic's words. Something flickered in Elliot's eyes. A shift. A new thought forming. Something he had never considered before tonight. Maya Carter was not just talented. She was special. Rare. Dangerous to ignore. And Elliot Graves was suddenly very aware that the girl he intended to humiliate might be the key to something far greater than he had ever imagined. The restaurant had never been this silent. Maya stood in the warm halo of kitchen lights, her apron marked with tiny specks of butter and seasoning, her chest rising and falling with the steady rhythm of someone who had just stepped back into the life she once buried. The food critic returned to his seat, still shaken by how much flavor one young woman could bring out of a simple dish. Elliot Graves remained frozen beside the counter. His jaw was set, his eyes locked on Maya. He was a man used to controlling rooms, companies, deals, and people. Yet in this moment, he was the one struggling to catch up. Finally, he spoke. "Maya Carter, come here." His voice was calm but firm, stripped of mockery, stripped of pride. Maya stepped closer, unsure of what would come next. Her heartbeat grew louder in her ears. Every guest watched with wide eyes, sensing a moment that could tilt either toward glory or disaster. Elliot leaned forward slightly, studying her face with an intensity that made the air tighten. "Why are you working as a server?" Maya lowered her gaze. "I needed a job. Anything. Something steady." Life got complicated. Elliot nodded, as if confirming a suspicion. Life always gets complicated. But talent like yours does not just appear from nowhere. Maya hesitated before answering. "I grew up in Louisiana. My family had a small restaurant. I learned everything there." She paused. "But we lost it. After that, I stopped cooking for anyone." Elliot's expression shifted. Not sympathy. Something deeper. Recognition. "You lost something important. But you did not lose your gift." He turned to the crowd, raising his voice. "What you all saw tonight was not luck. It was skill. Real, raw, unstoppable skill." People murmured in agreement. A few even clapped softly. Elliot faced Maya again, and the next words out of his mouth sent a tremor through the entire room. "I want you to work with me." Maya blinked, unsure she heard correctly. "Work, with you." "Not for me," Elliot corrected. "With me." A ripple of shock ran across the floor. He continued. "I am opening a new restaurant in Brooklyn. A place meant to stand out. A place built on passion, not just money. But I need someone at the heart of it. Someone bold. Someone brilliant. Someone who knows how to tell a story through food." He stepped closer. "I want you to be the head chef. And the manager." Gasps burst across the restaurant. Grant, the head chef of Silver Crown, stared at Maya with a mixture of disbelief and admiration. The sous chefs exchanged glances. The guests whispered wildly. Elliot added, "You will run the kitchen. You will design the menu. You will build the soul of the place." His voice softened slightly. "And I will back you all the way." Maya's lips parted, but no words came out. She felt her chest grow tight, her vision warming at the edges. For so long, she had believed her dream was gone forever, buried under bills, night shifts, and loneliness. And now here it was, resurrected by the very man who tried to humiliate her. Elliot held out his hand. "What do you say, Maya Carter?" The entire restaurant leaned forward, breathless. Maya stared at his hand, the offer shimmering like a doorway back into the life she had once lived, the life she thought she had lost. Her fingers trembled. But before she could answer, a loud noise echoed at the entrance. The doors swung open. A tall woman in a burgundy coat stepped inside, her heels clicking sharply against the marble. Her cold gaze swept across the room, landing directly on Maya. "Well, well," she said, her voice cutting through the silence. "Looks like I arrived just in time." Elliot stiffened. The crowd murmured, confused. Maya felt her entire body freeze. She knew that voice. She knew that woman. And whatever peace she had felt for a brief moment began to crumble. The woman in the burgundy coat walked deeper into the restaurant, each step slow and deliberate, like she owned the floor beneath her feet. Conversations stopped. Even the clinking of glasses went silent. Her presence carried weight, the kind that demanded all eyes follow her. Maya's breath caught in her throat. She had not seen this woman in years. Not since the night everything fell apart in Louisiana. Not since the restaurant, and her family, and the dreams she buried. Elliot stepped forward sharply, his tone tense. "Mariah, what are you doing here?" Mariah Rowan, a high-profile investor who had funded some of the most successful restaurants in the Northeast. Known for her sharp tongue and sharper deals. The kind of person who treated talent as a currency, not a gift. But to Maya, Mariah was far more than that. She was the woman who had tried to buy out Maya's family's restaurant years ago. The woman who had pushed a deal they refused. The woman who threatened to crush them if they did not comply. And the woman who watched from a distance as everything fell apart. Maya stiffened, fingers curling against her apron. Memories flooded her head, heavy and hot. Mariah scanned the room before giving a cold smile. "I heard a rumor. A girl here cooked something extraordinary tonight." Her gaze landed on Maya. "Imagine my surprise when I discovered it was you." The whispering in the room grew louder. Elliot looked between them, confusion mixing with suspicion. "You know each other." Mariah tilted her head. "Oh, we go way back." Her voice dripped with confidence. Her family had potential. Real potential. But they did not take the opportunity one offered them. And they paid for it. She shrugged lightly. "Life is harsh. It rewards the bold and crushes the stubborn." Maya felt a sting in her chest. "You ruined us." Mariah's gaze sharpened. "I merely did what the business world demands." Elliot took a step closer. "You caused her family to lose their restaurant." Mariah smiled without remorse. "I caused nothing. They failed. They blamed me. That is all." Maya clenched her jaw, but she did not lower her head this time. She had lived with shame for too long. Tonight, with the entire room watching, she refused to shrink again. Mariah turned to Elliot. "And now I see you are about to make a very expensive mistake." She gestured to Maya with a flick of her hand. "You want to build a restaurant on the back of someone who has no stability, no foundation, no discipline." Elliot's expression hardened. "She has more talent than half the chefs in this city." Mariah smirked. "Talent is not enough. Talent without control is a liability." Maya finally stepped forward, her voice steady. "You do not get to decide what I am anymore." Mariah's eyes narrowed slightly, surprised by the defiance. "Is that so?" Maya nodded. "I lost everything once. But I am not the same girl you pushed down." She straightened. "I will not lose it again." The crowd murmured approval. Grant folded his arms, watching with newfound admiration. Even the critic leaned forward, paying close attention. Mariah turned to Elliot again, voice calm but cold. "Let me give you some advice. If you partner with her, it will cost you time, money, and reputation." She stepped closer, lowering her voice just enough for tension to thicken in the air. "Walk away before she drags you down with her." Elliot stared at Mariah, then at Maya. Two paths stood before him. One dictated by business logic, power, and safety. The other by raw talent, fire, and the unbelievable spark Maya had shown tonight. The entire restaurant waited. Elliot inhaled slowly. His choice would change both of their lives. He turned toward Maya, eyes steady. And in the next heartbeat, he made his decision. Elliot stood between Maya and Mariah, the weight of the moment pressing into his shoulders. The restaurant was silent, a room full of powerful people suddenly powerless, waiting for one man to declare whose future he believed in. Mariah folded her arms, confident he would side with her. Maya stood still, breath trembling but eyes steady. She had come too far tonight to break now. Elliot finally exhaled. "I am not walking away from her." Mariah's expression cracked. "Excuse me." Elliot stepped beside Maya, not in front of her, but next to her as an equal. "What she did tonight is something money cannot buy. You may not see it, but I do." Mariah's voice sharpened. "You are making a mistake." "Maybe," Elliot replied. "But it is mine to make." The murmurs in the restaurant grew louder. Some nodded, impressed. Others simply watched in fascination as the balance of power shifted. Mariah's lips tightened. You think this girl can handle the pressure of running a kitchen? I doubt she even understands the scale of what you are planning. Maya stepped forward gently, her voice low but firm. I understand pressure better than anyone in this room. I lost everything once. I am not letting it happen again. Mariah held her glare for a long, cold second. Then she turned away. Very well. She walked toward the exit, heels clicking sharply. Do not say I did not warn you. The door closed behind her. The tension broke instantly. A wave of relief swept over Maya's body, her breath trembling out of her chest. Elliot turned to her with a small, genuine smile. Maya Carter. His voice softened. My offer still stands. Be my head chef. Be my manager. Build something with me. Maya looked up at him. Her heart raced. Her dreams trembled awake. Yes. Her voice was quiet, but the entire room heard it. Elliot nodded once, a spark of excitement rising in his eyes. Then let us begin. The crowd erupted in applause. Not for Elliot. For Maya. The server who was never meant to shine, but could no longer be ignored. Within weeks, Maya's life changed faster than she could process. One moment she was serving tables in a uniform that never quite fit. Now she stood inside a brand new kitchen in Brooklyn, surrounded by stainless steel counters, polished burners, and a team waiting for her instructions. The restaurant had a name now. The Ember House. A place built on warmth, fire, and the story she carried in her hands. Elliot walked beside her during the final inspection. Everything here is yours to shape, he said. Menus. Flavors. Style. This place beats with your ideas. Maya nodded, the weight and excitement filling her chest. She touched the counter, remembering her grandmother's kitchen in Louisiana. For the first time in years, the memory didn't hurt. It fueled her. Opening night came fast. Lines formed outside before sunset. Food critics, bloggers, families, executives, all waiting to see the girl who stunned Manhattan. Maya stepped into the kitchen, feeling her staff gather around her. You ready, chef? Grant asked with a grin, now her sous chef by choice. Maya lifted her chin. Let's set this place on fire. Orders began flooding in. And she moved. Her hands danced across the pans. Flames rose, butter melted, spices filled the air. Her team followed her rhythm without hesitation. The kitchen felt alive, a living heartbeat pulsing with heat and purpose. Elliot watched from the doorway, proud but silent, knowing this was her stage, not his. When the first plates reached the dining room, murmurs turned into stunned silence. Then praise. Then applause. Critics scribbled notes with widened eyes. Strangers took photos before tasting, then froze after the first bite. Word spread fast. The Ember House wasn't just good. It was unforgettable. That night, long after the last guest left, Maya walked through the quiet dining room. The lights were dim, the air still warm from the rush of service. Elliot approached her with a soft smile. You did it, Maya. This place, it feels alive because of you. Maya breathed in deeply, letting her success settle into her bones. She had reclaimed what she lost. She had built something new. And she wasn't done yet. The Ember House was only the beginning. The Ember House exploded across New York City faster than anyone expected. Within a month, reservations filled weeks in advance. Influencers lined up outside for photos. Food critics who once ignored Maya now chased interviews, begging to understand how a former server had risen so quickly. But Maya did not chase fame. She chased flavor, consistency, heart. Every night, she led her team with precision and fire. Her dishes carried stories from her childhood, the aroma of Louisiana, and the confidence she rebuilt piece by piece. Guests tasted more than food. They tasted her journey. One evening, Grant rushed into the kitchen holding his phone. Chef, you need to see this. Maya wiped her hands and glanced at the screen. It was a review from the very critic who tested her on that unforgettable night at Silver Crown Manhattan. He wrote, The Ember House is the heartbeat of Brooklyn, a restaurant led by a chef who cooks with soul, memory, and courage. Maya Carter is the name New York must remember. Maya stared at the words, unable to speak. She never imagined her name would be printed like this, carried through the city she once felt invisible in. Later that night, she stepped outside into the cool Brooklyn air. Elliot found her leaning against the brick wall, looking up at the city skyline. "You are everywhere tonight," he said quietly. "News, social media, magazines. New York is falling in love with your cooking." Maya gave a small smile. "I'm still getting used to it." Elliot stood beside her, hands in his pockets. "You earned every bit of this. And it is only going to get bigger." She exhaled softly, letting the weight sink in. Her rise wasn't luck. It was hours in the kitchen, nights of doubt, and a flame she refused to let die. Inside, her staff celebrated the review. Inside, her dishes continued changing lives. Inside, the Ember House became more than a restaurant. It became a movement. And Maya Carter, once dismissed and humiliated, had become the most exciting chef in New York City. The Ember House was glowing with its usual evening warmth, but tonight felt different. There was a quiet electricity in the air, a hum of something bigger approaching. Maya sensed it the moment she stepped into the kitchen. Her team stood a little straighter. The guests spoke in softer tones. Even the city outside seemed to pause. Halfway through service, Elliot entered the kitchen. His smile was calm, but his eyes held something serious. "Maya," he said, "we need to talk." In the office, her heartbeat flickered with nerves. She wiped her hands, followed him through the narrow hallway, and stepped into the small office overlooking the dining room. Elliot didn't sit. Instead, he placed a folder on the desk. Thick. Important. Final. Maya frowned gently. "What is that?" Elliot took a slow breath. "The Ember House is a success because of you. Your vision. Your fire. Your leadership. I backed you because I saw your talent, but I had no idea it would explode like this." He opened the folder and slid a document toward her. "This restaurant deserves to be led by the person who created its soul. I want you to have 40% of the company." Maya froze, eyes widening. 40%. Elliot nodded. "You are not just my head chef anymore. You are my partner. This place is yours as much as it is mine." Her chest tightened, her breath caught between disbelief and emotion. She had spent years swallowing humiliation, losing everything, scraping her way through survival. Now someone was offering her ownership, power, a future that looked nothing like the past that haunted her. She inhaled softly. "Why are you doing this?" Elliot leaned against the desk, speaking with quiet sincerity. "Because you saved this vision. Because you transformed a simple idea into a phenomenon. Because you are the best chef I have ever seen. And because I believe in you more than anyone ever has." Maya felt her eyes warm, but she held steady. She had fought too hard to let tears fall now. She signed the papers with a firm hand. Elliot smiled. "Welcome, partner." When they stepped back into the dining room, the staff burst into applause the moment they saw Maya's expression. Word spread instantly. Laughter filled the air. Gratitude. Celebration. Maya looked around the room she helped build. The lights glowed softly against the brick walls. Guests toasted with glasses of wine. Her dishes traveled from table to table like pieces of her heart. She stood at the center of it all, no longer a server pushed aside, no longer a girl hiding her past. Maya Carter was now one of the owners of the Ember House, a rising legend in the New York culinary world, a flame that refused to die. And tonight, her new legacy began.